Are you ready to make 2022 a year of authentic sales success? Welcome to the 2022 Authentic Selling Challenge, brought to you by the Selling from the Heart Insiders Group. Each day, you will be inspired, equipped, and challenged to take action to unlock higher levels of success and fulfillment in your sales career. You're about to be coached by some of the sales world's foremost thought leaders and influencers. This is going to be practical and fun, so grab a pen and a notepad and get ready to take action as we join our challenge hosts, Larry Levine and Daryl Amy.
All right. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, and welcome back to the 2022 Authentic Selling Challenge, Day 4. Larry, what's going on, man?
You know, I started looking at the chat, Daryl, and I'm looking at all this, and I'm like going, I should bust my mittens and my hat on because everyone is freezing their backside off. I'm going, what is going? Is anyone in Southern California watching this? It's like
I don't know.
cold
If you're
weather
from
everywhere.
Southern California or somewhere warm, give a shout out. I see Dave Sanderson's in the house. Challenge alumni from last year, good friend Dave, Bill, Matt Nelson, Bill McCormick, Mark, it's great to see you. There we go. Northwest Indiana, they're cold. South Bend, Indiana is cold.
Hey, there's a quick fix for that, everyone. It's a 4-letter word. It's move. Just move.
Well, we got Chicago. We got Chris is back here today,
Lord.
and we got Massachusetts. Nobody is warm today. It's cold.
Except for William Albert. I know where he's at, so he's kind of warm. So
we've got a great day ahead, and welcome back. If this is your first day, we have been challenging each other all week long around the topic of authenticity and sales. Hey, by the way, Larry, look, we got someone here from sunny Las Vegas.
Oh,
Anna,
not too
welcome. We've got someone that's warm in the house.
Hey, Mark, no, I'm not. Mark, I'm not renting rooms. We're almost an empty nester, so we have a no U-turn sign policy on our house. So
we've got a great day ahead. Yesterday, we heard from our good friend Carson Heddy, enterprise sales at Microsoft. Today in the house, we've got Morgan Ingram, who's going to bring a BDR perspective to this discussion, and you're going to absolutely love getting to know Morgan. Larry, I'm so excited about all that's been happening this week and the community in particular that's gathered around this challenge.
Yeah, you know what's been really cool is everyone who's invested their time with us, Daryl, from Jeffrey and Jennifer Gittimer to Heather Monahan to Carson yesterday, has brought a completely fresh, different and unique viewpoint about what authenticity means to them. The stories have been amazing, Daryl.
It really is. It's really cool. And one of the areas where authenticity really comes to life is in the Selling from the Heart Insiders Group. And today's episode is brought to you by the Selling from the Heart Insiders Group. And I thought the best thing we could do just to illustrate what a difference this community is making in my life, your life, and in the life of many authentic sales professionals who are looking for like-hearted peers to gather with and to mastermind with. I thought no one says this better than Matt Nelson himself.
Hey, Matt, grab a Kleenex, dude.
Yeah, check this out.
Hey, Larry, it's Matt Nelson, and I just want to say thank you to you and Daryl for the investment that you make in sales professionals like myself. I can't even begin to tell you how grateful I am that you and I met at Outbound 2021 this year. And I know that my life has been made so much better. My sales career has been made so much better by the investment that you make. Man, this book that you gifted me with, your book, Selling from the Heart, has been a game changer for me. And the whole Selling from the Heart community really has been career changing, game changing. I had no idea when I went to Outbound that you and I'd meet and the difference that you'd make in my life. There's so many things that you've taught me through your writings, through the book, and then through the podcast that you guys produce weekly. And then the icing on the cake for me is the insiders group that we have with the Selling from the Heart community that meets on Fridays. And we get to learn from each other, get to mastermind ideas and thoughts, and really take the opportunity to sharpen each other and make each other better. So from the bottom of my heart, I thank you. I thank you for the mindset that you're teaching. This is not just a strategy or a systems or a process, but it really is a mindset. It's a lifestyle to be a sales professional, to act and to do everything with authenticity and with concern and for love for our customers and for our prospects. So thank you, and I look forward to growing with you in the days ahead, and all the best to you, Larry.
Oh, couldn't be
that's so
said
cool.
better. That is such a great explanation of what happens in the Selling from the Heart Insiders Group. It is truly a community of authenticity. And if you don't have a place to hang out where there are other authentic sales professionals, we want to invite you to join us. There's community. There's up close and personal where we bring in thought leaders. We've had an incredible roster of thought leaders in where we just hang out and pick their brains and get to know them. And then most of all, the mastermind, being able to solve problems together. We want to invite you to join us. In fact, you can join us free for the next 30 days. Just go to sellingfromtheheart.net/insiders. And even after the 30 days, it's a very modest investment with an incredible return. And we'd love for you to join us.
It's been so good. And we actually have an up close and personal alumni that put his comments in here. Mr. Dave Sanderson, we love you. He's been on the podcast and he's been on the up close and personal.
Absolutely. So come hang out with us and get to know some people who will become new friends. And, a lot of this, we've been talking this week about the authentic, what it means to be authentic as a sales professional. And one of the things that authentic sales professionals do, and this is the foundation of the trust formula, is authentic relationships plus meaningful value. And in order to add value, we've always got to be learning. I love this quote, Larry. you found this quote from a keynote last year that was delivered at Workday. But every day we must wake up with a learn-it-all mindset, not a know-it-all mindset.
It's so good. So I'm glad you brought up the know-it-all part, because that was the second half of this. And that's part of that's part of what we must do every day. Is we must hold ourselves accountable every single day to learn something new. Learn something new about our clients, ourselves, our career, our marketplace, even our future clients.
We've been talking about this. We'll actually take a deeper dive into this today. And the trust building intensive is, the reality is that to deliver meaningful value and to be what we all want to be as sales professionals, a trusted advisor, we've got to bring some ideas to the table. We've got to bring some advice. And that's why when we think about authenticity in selling, we're thinking about relationship. We're also thinking about value as well. I was reading this morning, we've got to deliver relationships and results. And that's where the top half of the authentic selling model here really brings to life that it is, yes, it's about authentic relationships. It's also about meaningful value. And meaningful value happens when we have a learning mindset, a learn it all mindset. So we have something to bring to the table. As we say a lot in the podcast, we need to be able to bring the goods. And to do that, that takes a mindset of continual learning.
It not only is it continual learning, but here's what I'd ask everyone to think about. Are we making our customers smarter every time we engage in conversations with them? Same could be said for our future clients. Same could be said for what's in your funnel right now. Are we making everyone smarter? The way we do that is we have that learn it all mindset, Daryl.
Well, speaking of someone that's going to make us smarter, I think it's a great time.
I can't wait. Hey, you're all in for a treat with this one.
Ladies and gentlemen, just welcome to the 2022 Authentic Selling Challenge Studios. None other than Morgan J. Ingram. What's going on, Morgan?
What's going on? Well, I've spit out my virtual drink multiple times on the backstage. When y'all started talking about the weather, I was just dying laughing. So I almost had to grab a Coke because I was like, man, I'm cold now. So we're here.
Coming all the way from the ATL.
Yep. Excited to be here.
We're so glad you're here. And I'm curious, as we get started in this conversation, this is going to be a really interesting conversation, because it always is every time we get to talk.
Yeah.
What does authenticity mean to you? When you hear the word authenticity in the context of sales, what thoughts come to your mind?
Yeah. So there's so many definitions of authenticity and how people translate it. And as I've talked to multiple mentees and clients, it's about being self-aware and knowing yourself so that you're able to connect with others and truly translate that energy towards each other, right? So, and what I mean by that is, in order to be authentic, you have to be self-aware. You have to do the deep work on yourself. However you may do it, meditation, prayer, mental health, all those different things. And then once you understand yourself, it's easier for you to connect with others, because then you can see what their energy is, so you can connect with them. Because ultimately, everything is an energy, right? How we feel towards people, how our conversations go, and that will allow you to be a better seller, because then you're going to be able to bring out your personality in what that is. Because I see one of the biggest traps that people have in sales is, I go to the number one rep, I try to talk like the number one rep, but that's not me. Right? They have a different style. They ask questions differently, right? It doesn't work. So in order for you to be authentic, you have to know who you are, so you can translate that to other people.
No, that is so good. And let's put this into even some more context, by the way. Hey, Buckley.
Buckley, he made it. Buckley made it.
It's so good. A special shout out to Buckley.
Buckley's in the house. We're glad you're here. We're already talking about you today.
Yeah, we were talking behind your back about 20 minutes ago. But nevertheless, I think let's put this in some context, though, because what I really like about what Morgan said is he's delivering this through the context and the lens of an SDR, sales development rep, and a business development rep. And what you just keyed in on is so mission critical. Because I remember weeks ago, Morgan and I got into this conversation that one of the struggles I see, especially with younger reps, is they haven't found their authentic voice, and they struggle with connecting with people on the phone. So can you just share just a little bit of your background, through your journey that led you to where you're at, and why you believe finding your authentic voice is so critical in the SDR roles?
Yeah. So much love to everyone that's in here. You let us know in the comments if you are SDR, BDR, or you've been one before, or you lead them. So show some love in the chat, and let's just take it back. So when I first started off as an SDR, you come into it and you're like, the assignment, let's think about this. The assignment is easy. Hey, go schedule meetings. Okay. Right? Like, that's cool. Like that sounds pretty simple, right? Go call people and schedule meetings. That's all I got to do, right? They give you the emails, and the place where I went, they gave me the technology, they gave me what to say, and I'm like, okay, so all I have to do is show up and schedule meetings with people, and that's it. I'm about to go on vacation there every week. Right? I was like, yeah, we got it. We found the job. We're good, Mom. We're about to go on vacation. We're about to live it up, right? I was like, this is easy, right? No, not at all. Got wrecked. Destroyed on the phones, right? And so you're making these calls, you're sending out these emails, and you're just getting rejected right and left. You're just like, what's going on? And so what happens is, what I also realize as well, is that you have imposter syndrome, because you're like, okay, I'm 1-2 years out of college, right? But I have to go talk to the CISO. I got to go talk to the IT director. I got to go talk to a CMO. How am I even going to articulate my points and get this person to want to meet with me? So that's what leads to the scramble, right? So I remember the first 3 months I scrambled. I didn't hit quota for 3 months. And I remember at the end of the month, they're like, yo, you better figure this out. You're not going to be here. I'm like, okay, it's a quick career in sales. See you later. Right. Boom. So I had to figure out what was going on. Why am I not seeing success? Why can't I get this? Right. And what I realized is that I wasn't being me. I was trying to be like everybody else, because I was watching YouTube videos, podcasts, and I was trying to copy people that didn't work. And I also didn't have a framework. So in order to be an authentic sales development rep, cold caller, emailer, prospector, building pipeline, whatever you want to call it, hunter, I have to know, who am I? How do I talk so that people genuinely know it's me, right? Because people can feel your energy, be like, that's not you.
Yeah.
And then, but also you have to get a framework of success. You have to have a container that allows for you to be consistent and also allows you to be authentically you as an SDR, BDR. And that's what I learned 5-6 months in, and it allowed me to consistently see those results. And that's what's allowed me to continuously have results.
I like the concept of frameworks rather than scripts, and talking points rather than scripts, because I reflect about yesterday. I was talking about my first sales job and showing up with a navy suit, white shirt, casual Fridays. You get to wear a blue shirt and tie instead.
Was
of
that
white.
The 1970s?
Yeah, it was absolutely right
That's
after.
what I thought.
Decade after you started, Larry, and it was. Hey, we need to honor the greatest generation. And I think that, seriously, though, I not only did I show up with the blue suit, the white shirt, the tie, and that didn't matter who you're calling on. That's what you wore. But then on top of that, it was, here's the script, memorize this by the end of the week or you're fired. That was how it went down, And so I still wake up in the middle of the night. I can certainly thank you for investing a few minutes with me today. What I'd like to accomplish in our brief meeting. I still, like 30 years later, still remember that. And, there was something so robotic about that. And I think the better way to do that would have been to give a framework for the conversation. Here's how it goes. Here's some talking points. Here's how to, let me coach you in terms of how to inject your personality, bring yourself into this rather than be the corporate robot. And I think that level of sincerity would have gotten a lot further than what it got us just memorizing scripts.
100%. And to even amplify that point, when you think about a framework, and I don't know if anyone here watches basketball or familiar with Phil Jackson, right? About Bulls, Lakers. He had the triangle offense.
Yep.
That's a framework. Now, obviously, Kobe operated completely differently in the triangle than Jordan did, but they still would win and they still did what they needed to do. And when you think about being an SDR, BDR, it's like you need to have a framework of like, how do you do your cold calls? How do you write emails? How do you do videos? How do you manage your time? And anyone can implement a framework. However, everyone's going to be different in that framework based on their personality and bring in their true authentic self. And that's where most people fail, right? Coming in as SDR, just like I told you the story, is that they get a script. Hey, well, our number one rep said this, so you need to say it. But then they feel uncomfortable. It's not them. And that's why they get hung up on. That's why they get rejected. That's why they don't get the meetings. You have to build a framework that's like, this is the steps, insert your personality and let them do what they need to do.
I think it's so critical. And I just had flashbacks to Monday with Gittimer when he shared his 2 cents on what he thought scripts were all about. And it was not PG-13, by the way. But nevertheless, I think scripts are important. Scripts gives us, like what you said, Morgan, the framework. But, I go back to when I started my career and I struggled with this. I struggled mightily with it until I interjected who I was to this. And I think this is mission critical is, regardless of what role you're in sales, whether you're making calls for somebody or you're in mid-level sales or you're in enterprise sales, whatever insert tenure of sales role you're in at, you got to learn how to have conversations in a way to open up more conversations. And I will let you know, people know when you're hiding behind scripts today. They really do. They can sense it immediately. And then you get what you get. You get the responses you get when you hide behind those scripts.
Yeah, you do. I mean, you think about the hope all is well email, right? I always bash on that one, but you immediately see that and you're like, okay, here's the scripted email that I always get. That it's like people know, right? So you have to be able to switch that up. Frameworks, consistency, personality, that's you. And that's how you continuously build that, because you're going to face imposter syndrome when you are SDR, BDR, because this is new territory. You haven't done this before, right? You haven't called a CISO, you haven't VP of sales. This is your first job. So it's harder, right? It's the role is simple, right? Go schedule meetings, but it's extremely tough because mentally you have to grow yourself and you have to evolve, which is also a hard process as well.
The concept of imposter syndrome is something we don't talk enough about in sales. And I think it's definitely evident. I remember early on in my sales career feeling exactly that. And I remember last week feeling that, right? Like the imposter syndrome
it's all there.
Is a very real thing. I don't think we discuss it very much. I'm curious, if I were a new rep, how would you coach me when it comes to that? Like, who am I to call on a CXO? I just graduated from college.
I'm 23 years old, right?
Well, you don't talk to CISOs every day? Like, what are you talking about? So there's three main things here. If someone wants to copy what I say here and put it in the chat for everybody, that would be also helpful as well. But I really want you all, if you are taking notes, you're listening in, this is the part that I would pay attention to, because I'm assuming some of you probably have mentees, teams you manage, colleagues. If you do these 3 things, it will help you overcome the massive part of imposter syndrome. It continuously happens as you evolve in your career, but this is how you're going to really knock it out. So number one is writing down, why do you have imposter syndrome? So when you go talk to CISO, why are you afraid? Is it because, oh, this person has 20 years experience, I can't talk to him? Or maybe you feel like I don't have enough insight, I just started. Or maybe you just don't like rejection. Everybody's answer to that will be a little bit different. You have to identify what the root of the problem is on why can't you reach out to the CISO? Because then once you figure out what the root is, you can figure out how to solve it. So if it's like, I don't know how to talk to them. Okay, well, maybe you should go look up some CISO interviews on YouTube. Maybe you need to go listen to a couple podcasts of what a CISO does. Maybe just do some Google researches, right? That will get you more comfortable in that. That leads to point number two. So in every organization, for the most part, right? Because there could be some outliers in what I'm about to tell you. The person you're reaching out to, you have that person in your organization already.
Bingo.
You already have an ally. So I think sometimes in sales, we overcomplicate the scenario. We're like, oh, well, I'm reaching out to CISOs. I don't know any CISOs. Wait, you have a CISO probably in your organization.
Right.
Email, be like, hey, I reach out to people like you on a daily basis. I need some help. Can I get 45 minutes of your time and tell me what should I be doing when I reach out to a CISO? Is it LinkedIn? Is it email? Is it phone? I don't know what I don't know. So I need to ask the CISO. If you want to take it to another level, right? Because everybody's different here in their organizations. Go talk to customer success and be like, hey, like, can I talk to 5 CISOs? I need to understand what is going on in their brain. So when I reach out to them, I could get that confidence, right? So that's another huge and critical big piece as well. And the third thing is because we have this more in the market right now, like the Gongs, recording softwares of the world. And again, if you don't have this, then, you know, there's another way you can do this. And I'll explain it here in a minute. Go find all the recordings of these conversations with CISOs and listen to the sales reps. How are they talking to the CISO? How does the CISO respond to them? What are questions that they're asking that got them to pause and be like, that was a good question. So now all you have to do is just write those down and start using them in your conversation as you develop in your career. Now, obviously, getting over imposter syndrome is when you start seeing results, people start giving you praise, things of that nature. That's how you inevitably get over it. But in order to get that success, you have to understand how to even get on the path of acquiring it. So if you do these 3 things, that will allow you to start feeling more comfortable in your own skin, in your role, and things of that nature. So those are the 3 things that I would do to start overcoming imposter syndrome. And what I tell reps, like, just do these 3 things and you'll get over it. Now, if you don't do them, then I can't help you. But if you do, then I don't know.
I wish Morgan was my sales manager. That's his new rep. Because my manager really said, "Fake it till you make it." Right? Those
Good
3
luck.
things are so practical.
Oh, can you imagine having Morgan Ingram and Buckley as your managers together? Oh Lord,
yeah, there'd be a lot going on.
Hey, but just really quick, just so some of you who don't know, when Morgan refers to CISO, it's Chief Sales Officer. Just in case somebody maybe doesn't know, or sales or something like that. So I just wanted to throw that out. And then the other thing is, go back to point 3 if you can, because some people may not have the recording software and all that. So what could they do instead of point 3?
Yeah. So what you could do, and Mark, you absolutely can do that as well. What you put in there, you can get them to talk to the team. I'm also thinking about it as an individual rep as well, right? Like sometimes they may not have the resources, and you need to be proactive yourself because your leader might not even do that, right? If you do not have the recording software, this is where if you're going to have to basically, because everyone has like a video conferencing or things of that nature. And if you don't have that, then I have another answer for you if we need to go down that, right? I hope you have this at least. So if you have a recording software, what I actually recommend you to do is, if you're an SDR, BDR, because this is the context of what we're talking about, you're scheduling that meeting. So I would ask the account executive or the sales rep to be like, hey, can I hop on for the first like 2 minutes to introduce you? And I'm just going to go on mute in the background and just listen to the call. So if you don't have a recording software, then you're going to have to sit on the call so that you can get that information. But it's just, obviously you have to be there and be present. You just don't have the recording.
Awesome. Really, really practical. So I have another question, another way to think about this whole thing. As a sales professional, especially an SDR role, I mean, if anyone encounters a consistent barrage of rejection throughout the day, it's an SDR, right? I mean, we're on the front lines of calling, cold calling, warm calling, whatever you want to call it. There's rejection, a lot of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if you're in the SDR role and you're trying to bring your authentic self to the table, I think that one of the reasons possibly that we kind of put this facade up, this, for me, it was that blue suit business facade version of Daryl, is that now we're going to sit on the couch here for a minute, Larry. But seriously though, I think that like, maybe it's easier to bring the persona, the poser part of yourself to the table, because that means if I bring my real self to the table, that's getting rejected as opposed to some fake, business suit self. So in terms of just navigating that, if I'm going to bring my true authentic self to the BDR role, how do I survive? Coach us through how to survive that without having your entire self destroyed.
Hey, and by the way, it doesn't now this doesn't matter.
How do you not get
right?
eviscerated? Okay, let's talk about it.
It doesn't matter what role, right? This could apply to an enterprise salesperson.
It can't. I mean, it can apply to anyone.
Apply to
but,
anybody.
But SDRs, it's no. And I'm like that. How do you separate that level of rejection from destroying your authentic self?
Yeah. So some of y'all are going to be like, whoa, Morgan, you really just said that? But this is the actual answer. So yes, you need to become your authentic self. You need to figure out, how do I truly connect with myself so I can connect with others, like I said at the beginning. And everyone at the end of the day, right, is going to have different things that go on in their life, right? When you call someone, they may have had a bad day and has nothing to do with you. So sometimes what we do is we actually focus on ourselves too much instead of like what happened to the other person. Bad day, they could have maybe just getting fired, right? Dog got sick, who knows, right? So when you call someone and you get rejected, sometimes it has nothing to do with you, which leads to my point, is that when you're an SDR or BDR, especially, right? You could even consider this in other roles, but you're calling someone out the blue. It doesn't matter because they don't know who you are. And ultimately, at the end of the day, they're not going to remember you. So that once you realize that, the rejection doesn't hurt as much, right? I'm no one that I've ever called, I made tens of thousands of cold calls. No one that I've ever cold called and the cold call went bad. And I heard a knock on my door like, yo, Morgan, I heard that cold call 2 hours ago and it was awful. I flew in from North Carolina and that was the worst cold call I've ever heard. You need to quit sales. That's never happened. It's never happened. But that's what we think. We think someone's going to pull up on us and be like, I heard you. 3:02 p.m. That was the worst. And they're going to call you on the street. Like, that's not, y'all, that's never going to happen. I promise you. As long as you say what you're supposed to say, yes, you're going to get rejected. Yes, it's going to be bad. However, that's life, right? So the thing is that, like, once I realized that no one is going to pull up on my apartment, no one's going to call me out in the middle of the street, no one's going to message my boss being like, dude, you hired the worst person of all time. Then you're like, okay, I'm fine. Yeah. I'm just being myself. I'm following my structure and my consistencies. I know that people don't win 100% of the time. All the great people that you think of have never won 100% of things, right? I can name multiple greats in sports and I could go deep in that analogy, but we all know those people, the Kobe's, shout out to mama right here, the LeBrons, the Tom Brady's, they've never have won every single thing that they've done. So, but we put pressure on ourselves that every single conversation is going to be amazing, and it's not. And they're not going to remember you. And they don't, ultimately, this is the real talk, they don't care about you. Because in 5 seconds, you're going to call them, they're going to be like, whatever, and they're going to move on to the next thing. So that's how you get over that hump, is realizing it's going to be okay. I'm now more comfortable with myself, and you're going to win more opportunities by being yourself than lose them. And that's how I think about it.
Hey, Daryl, this is so good. Hey, Morgan, I mean, I love hearing stories, and I know everybody else does. You got to share maybe some of your best success you've had at, in the role that you are, bring in your authentic self, take us down a couple stories and why they were so successful, and maybe peel that back if you don't mind.
Yeah. So, one of the things that, as you'll have been listening to me so far, is I like to banter with people and joke back and forth. And so when I came into the role, I was very serious, and I had like a very serious voice. I was like, "This is Morgan Ingram from Terminus. This is what we do. We're the leading provider in the space, and we are in the 3rd quadrant, upper left of Gartner." Like that was me, right? Like that was just like, yeah, great pitch, right? Everybody wants to take meetings with me, right? So like some of y'all are like, "Oh, geez, I've never talked to Morgan," and that's what happened. That's why I was bad for the first 3 months, because I was just like so straightforward. No, not me. It wasn't my personality. I just thought I had to be super serious, super straightforward, and that was it. So then one day I decided I'm just gonna whatever naturally comes out, I'm just gonna do it. And so I remember I got this objection, and it's something that I teach today because I learned that it actually works, but in the moment I didn't know. So the person, I called them, and at the beginning they were like, "Look, I don't have time for this. I'm not interested." And I was like, "Let's play a game." He's like, "Oh, this is true story.
No, serious, dude. Come on.
True story. I said, "Let's play a game." He's like, "Is this Saul? Like, what about to happen? Let's play a game." What is he talking about, right? So I said, "Let's play a game." And he goes, "Sure, what's the game?" I said, "Okay, 30 seconds. Give me 30 seconds to explain what we do. And if it's interesting, you have to book time with me. And if it's not, you can hang up on me and I'll never call you ever again." He's like, "Okay, timer started." Right? And so like I'm like, okay, my heart's like racing. I'm like, I can't believe this worked, right? And so I delivered it, right? Because I practiced it. And then he was like, "I like it. So I'm free next Thursday at 3, right?" Got the meeting booked, and I was like, stood up, I was like, "Let's go." My manager's like, "What in the world?" I was like, "You gotta listen to this call." And they were like, who are you? I've never heard this before. I was like, I was just being me. I decided to change it today. So since then, I was like, I'm intuitive enough to know what to say, but I was blocking myself because I thought I had to be a different person.
Yeah.
But I was like, I already knew what to do. I just needed to be consistent more in myself. And then from there, it continuously developed.
Oh, that is funny. That is so
I think
funny.
It's hilarious. I think it underscores the humor and laughter and not taking yourself too seriously in all of this is so important as well, right?
Unless your name's Daryl Amy.
Hey. Talking to myself. So this is true though. This is, just looking at it as let's have some fun here with this, and let's not take this so seriously, because once again, you can get sucked under by this pretty quickly. It's tough. It's tough. What so we're getting some questions coming through in the chat. If you have a question, just type it in.
Because this plays out in a huge role. I know Morgan does this very, very well.
Yeah.
Chris brings up a question. You could probably pop it up there.
Yep.
Is how does LinkedIn fit into all of this in what we're saying?
So let's take a step back. And my follow-up question is in what context, right? Is it more like, am I posting? Am I like building a brand? Is it like getting meetings? Because my answer is going to be different. So I need to understand from like, how does LinkedIn fit into this in terms of what? Posting? Am I scheduling meetings? Am I just commenting? Like, what am I trying to do? What's the goal with LinkedIn? And the question, Chris, and I can give you an answer. So I got a follow-up question on that one.
Yeah. So as Chris is thinking about that, I think that just asking that follow-up question shows the different ways that LinkedIn can play a role in this, right? Part of this is building that personal brand and credibility so that when you do, get on the phone with someone or email them and they sniff you out, you look like someone that they'd actually want to talk to. Chris is clarified here. He said,
"Okay, cool.
What about reaching out to people?"
Yeah.
Well, so let's talk about what not to do.
Okay. Yeah, that was the easier way to start, right?
Let's start there, because sometimes you do things you don't realize that it's the wrong way, right? Because
Yeah.
you've been taught that, right? So pinch a connect, just don't do that, right? And what I mean by that is you connect with someone and then literally 2 seconds later, you're like, we're the leading provider in this space. We're incredible. Here's all the clients that we worked with and you need to meet with us, right? And that's like the normal thing that people will message people with, right? And they're just like, delete, unsubscribe, whatever those things are, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's an option on LinkedIn, if you're connected with the person, to send them a video or a voice note. I've talked about this for quite some time, and I still believe it's highly underleveraged. Because if you're looking to be authentic and truly reach someone, and especially in the world we're in right now where you can't meet a lot of people in person. We don't have grand events like we used to.
Mm-hmm.
So in order to connect with someone, I would highly encourage you to do a video to them or a voice note to them. Why? Because they're going to know that that was a personal connection to them. You spent the time to do the voice note. You spent the time to make the video, and they will appreciate that. I'm not telling you every single person's going to reply because that won't happen. However, they will appreciate that you took this effort to show yourself. They can see the authentic you. And most people don't do it because it takes too much time. But I would rather do something that takes more time to do than do what everyone else is doing and not getting results anyways. So that's what I would tell you to do there when it comes out to reaching people, is making videos and doing voice notes and truly connecting with them. And if you don't want to do that, right? Because some people are like, Morgan, that's not me. Cool. Asking them thought-provoking questions to start conversations. Because what happens is most people, especially for SDRs and BDRs, when you connect with someone, you're like, I'm trying to get a meeting. Okay. That's like talking to someone about like going on a date. And then you get to the date and you're like, okay, I'm going to propose. And you're just like, whoa, wait. Like this is the first date. Why are you trying to propose? Right? Like that's literally what you're doing when you do the connected pitch, right? It's not even related. So I need to start a conversation first before I ask you for something. I can't show up to the first date and propose. Whoa. What are you doing?
Well, if that's the case, why don't you just send a proposal on that response, right? Here's a proposal.
Might as
it's
well.
So absurd, right?
Try it out, but that's not how life works. That's not how life works. No. So how does it work? You start a conversation. And when you start a conversation and you create relatability, they get comfortable. And when people get comfortable, they're willing to spend more time with you. And what are you asking people for when you ask for a meeting? Their time.
Yeah.
Why would I want to spend 30 minutes with you if you just came out of nowhere and I don't even know you yet? So that's what I'm talking about there.
I think that right there is the one of the key elements of authenticity and prospecting is, are we trying to build a relationship, or are we just trying to get to the appointment? Obviously we know we're there to get the appointment, but the credibility comes out of relationship. And so I think a platform like LinkedIn or any social platform is that opportunity to start a conversation. Relationships happen with conversation. And the way to start a conversation in sales is to ask a great question. And I can't, Morgan, I get so frustrated. I mean, I could open my LinkedIn inbox right now and, like someone pasted a 5-paragraph message. Nobody's going to read that. Not in a million years. Not in a million years. A great question. A thanks for connecting. And I'm curious, question. That's going to get you way, way further.
Hey, you know what I want to bring up in the time that we have remaining, and just flashed into my head just now, only just because I don't know why, but it did. But I think a lot of us know who Darren Hardy is. And I remember watching a video, and this goes back 6 months ago, and I'd really love just to peel this back in just the remaining time we have. And he said something that was really profound. He goes, I think it's easier for people to be inauthentic than it is to be authentic.
Yeah.
Stop and think about that for a moment. What's your thoughts on that? I'm just curious.
That's a deep one. And
I know it's deep, but
I don't know.
But I'm
not sure I agree with it. I'm curious what you think, Morgan.
No, because it goes against, and here's why, Daryl. I mean, I threw this out here for conversation, but seriously, I know it's deep, But it plays out. I can guarantee you this. The people who are watching this, it plays out all the time. It runs through salespeople's heads because they got to fit in and they want to fit in. And that, I'm telling you, runs through people's heads.
So this is why I'm curious to hear your point, Daryl. This is why I 100% agree with it. And we have a real life case study on why. So let's go back to COVID beginning stages, right? Let's say like March to late May. How many people did you know, or maybe even yourself, were freaking out? Not obviously the virus, but freaking out because they had to be by themselves. Now why? Why is this important? Because most people are afraid to have alone time with themselves. Because then you have to ask yourself hard questions.
Yep.
Then you have to address the things that you should be doing. Then you have to address the things that are not going well in your life. It's very easy to ignore those things, go to work, go out to drink with your friends, go to sports games, go to do all these things. Now you can't do that. So now you're like freaking out because you're like, I got to do it myself. I got to ask all these hard questions. You have no distraction. So it's easier actually to be inauthentic when you've spent no time sitting with yourself. Now, when you have to be more of yourself because you're sitting with yourself, you freak out because you've been evading these things for so long. And that's what I would say with that. You have to spend time with yourself. You should be comfortable spending time with yourself. But then in order to get to real authenticity, you have to spend time with yourself to figure out who you are. But most people aren't comfortable with that, which is why I agree with that statement.
Okay, Daryl, your turn, dude. Okay, Daryl, now you're on the hot seat.
Follow that.
Well, hey, but here's what's interesting. I go back and I'm just looking at the comments, and Joy Robles says something. Thanks for putting it in the comments. She goes, "It takes less courage to be inauthentic than it does to be authentic." Bingo.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that I agree with you wholeheartedly on that, Morgan, and that is, without getting too deep into the psychotherapy weeds here on this. I mean, the question is, you could go all the way down to why did you get into sales? And, some people got into sales because they wanted to be something that they're maybe don't feel they are, And so there's, there is, I think the counterpoint to that is, we had to work really hard to become fake as salespeople. And so, there comes a day when you do that inner work, and Larry coaches us how to do that, and Selling from the Heart, and the self-reflection journal that comes along. When you do with that inner work, and you're actually finally able to exhale and go, okay, I'm going to show up as me. And you know what? That's not just okay. It's better when I show up as me. Then at that point, it's easier. So maybe the answer is it's hard to get to the easy place, right? You got to push through some stuff. And that's why I love sales. It's this journey of self-discovery, as Joy is saying in the chat, right? It's about personal development and all of that. So I think you're really onto something. I love this conversation, Morgan. You're a true inspiration. Every time we get to hang out, you just
absolutely.
bring it.
Absolutely. It's always a good time.
Yeah. So one last word of inspiration to this incredible global community of authentic sales professionals. What would you say?
I would say this is something that I've actually started doing this year, and we're 20 days in, and I could definitely say this is something I would encourage you all to think about as well. So think of 5 things that you need to do every single day to get closer to truly getting to your authentic self. And it doesn't, and also don't overthink it, because I overthink things. So, but don't overthink it. It literally just be like,
join the crowd, dude.
Yeah. Mine's is like super simple. It's like, okay, you have to drink a full glass of water in the morning, prayer, meditation for 5 minutes, journal your goals, and then take a walk for 10 minutes a day. That's it. Right. A lot of those things, right, are spending time with myself or health related. So again, they don't have to be anything crazy, but I just want you all to think about that, because as you continue to connect more with yourself, it allows you to be more present. If you're more present, what does that lead to? Better questions. If you ask better questions, that leads to better answers, that leads to more closed deals. But you can't get to deals if you're not present with yourself, because you're going to be thinking about, what should I say next, instead of listening to the person to know what to say next. So that's why those 5 things are critical.
That's so good.
Pure
so
gold.
Good.
One last important question. How do I get more Morgan in my life?
I'm here. So LinkedIn, Morgan J. Ingram, also Morgan J. Ingram across all platforms, right?
And the podcast.
So yeah,
and
so
your podcast.
Instagram, LinkedIn there. And then I have the SEO Chronicles, but I have a new podcast called The 1-Up Formula, where we talk about these concepts. It's like, we talk about sales, but we take it to the next level, right? We're like mentally, spiritually, like we're just getting deeper. And that's the direction I'm going in right now. So
Love it.
call The 1-Up Formula podcast. Go check it out.
Awesome.
So good.
Morgan, we so
You're
appreciate
awesome,
you.
dude.
Thanks
Thank
for
you.
being a Selling from the Heart
appreciate y'all.
champion.
Absolutely. I appreciate y'all.
All right. We'll see you
Cheers.
later. Bye, Morgan.
Always
Oh,
a
man.
good time with
That was
Morgan
good.
Ingram. My goodness.
Oh,
Hey, Larry,
wow. Yeah.
let's play a game.
Dude, hey, first of all, you play games with me all the time, Amy. So get
That
out
is
of here.
true. That is really true. Hey, this has been so good today, and we've got an amazing day lined up tomorrow. There's so much stuff in this episode with Morgan, though. Like, you could run down conversation trails on so many different things here that I think are so relevant to not, to SDRs, BDRs, and anyone in sales development. But let me tell you, if you want to get inspired and encouraged and equipped to be authentic in sales, you got to show up tomorrow. Scott Schilling is pure dynamite. I can't wait for our time with Scott. It's going to be the icing on the 2022 Authentic Selling Challenge cake tomorrow.
Yeah, I will tell you, Scott, it was so interesting with Scott. Just a quick backstory, and then we'll wrap this up. But last year, Scott Schilling sent me a Facebook messenger. And he goes, how do I get involved with your Authentic Selling Challenge? Well, it was like one day before this thing was going to go live with us. I said, hey, let's just connect. Well, he's wound up coming on the podcast. He's been on our Up Close and Personal. He's become a near and dear friend of our community. If there's anybody that epitomizes selling from the heart, it's Scott Schilling. Be here tomorrow, because he will peel back the acronym ASSET. So I'm going to say he will peel back the acronym ASSET. So great time. God, this was having Morgan. That was just a blast. But I will, just real quick, I will double dog everybody who's watching and listening. Double dog dare them. Go on the journey to find your authentic self. It's a journey. I mean, you'll learn so much, but I promise you this, you will be able to connect and relate better to your clients and your prospects.
Well, which is a great transition to the last thing we want to mention today is, if you want to go on a journey like that, the Trust Building Intensive is a great way to take that journey with other like-hearted sales professionals that want to develop trust. And it does begin with knowing yourself and bringing your authentic self to your clients. More information will be showing up on that in your email. Look for it, Trust Building Intensive. The second cohort is going to launch in the beginning of February. We've already got a fantastic cohort that we're working with right now. There'll be another one, brand new people launching in early February. And people in the first cohort, don't worry, that's going to keep going. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Hey, Scott Schilling tomorrow. Larry, it's been an amazing week so far. And let's press on, and we'll see you here tomorrow, 12 noon, 9 Pacific.
Hey, one quick thing. I'd be remiss. Special shout out, Cindy Ashton. She's the voice behind Selling from the Heart in this challenge. Our last guest on the Up Close and Personal, by the way. Thank you, Cindy.
Fantastic. Thank you, Cindy. Thank you, everybody. Share this with your peers. You don't want to miss Scott Schilling tomorrow. We'll see you then.
Thank you for joining us today for the 2022 Authentic Selling Challenge. Authenticity requires action. You're challenged to take what you have learned today and put it into action right away. If you've enjoyed the ideas and inspiration you've received today, please take a moment to share this challenge with your friends and clients. Let's all take action. We'll see you again tomorrow.